Welcome to Media Layer Sandwich, episode 14. And with me I have William from
allaboutwilliam.com.
And of course, I'm Scotty, otherwise known as Toaden, from Toaden.com, and of course, YouTube.com/ToadenK. So,
We seem to be missing Mark today.
yeah. Well, we missed you for like 2 weeks.
Yes.
Mark didn't want to catch our sickness.
No.
He's not down with the sickness.
The sickness is cool, though.
Gotta get up, gotta get down with the sickness. Mama, get up, get down with the sickness. Something flow into. Okay, I'm done.
I don't know the rest of it.
I apparently don't know the start of it. So today we were talking about things. You know, we got a lot of advice. You know,
Yes.
We give advice. You know, we're not always new at it. A lot of people just kind of give advice off the top of their head. But when it comes to creating media, doing YouTube, doing something still new to some people, and those been around for 10 years, and podcasting has been around even longer, but it's people give a lot of bad advice.
Very, very bad advice.
And there's also some things that used to be good advice, but today would be considered bad advice.
Definitely.
Because things change in time. So you got to take everything with a grain of salt. You know, even stuff we say now, if you're watching this 5 years, if we give you a very, very specific tech thing, you may want to double check. You know, with the current system and whatever forum you're using. Because tech
definitely.
things change all the time. I should have grabbed a couple of my YouTube books and stuff. Because there's some YouTube books I get. You know, sometimes people send them to me to review them. And they give me stuff that's been outdated for years. You know, they just didn't know.
No?
I mean, it was good advice 4 years ago. But it's not so much good advice now.
And then you got other problems like back before the internet and stuff. For you to learn certain things, they had to teach you all the math for it and everything. Now with everything digital, you don't really need to learn math.
Right.
So there are people trying to interpret that math and don't know what the heck they're doing.
Right. I mean, there's just so many things. There's so many aspects to everything. I mean, let's just jump right into it. Good advice, bad advice. It used to be good advice for people, you know, to watch what you name your channel. I know if you Google these advice channels, they always say when you start a channel or when you start your podcast or you start whatever, pick a really good name.
Yeah.
But now it seems like they want you should use your real name, especially if you're doing this for a living or you want to do this for a living. That way everything's associated with you.
Yeah, that might be good or bad. I'm still on the fence about that one.
Okay.
Because I know some people who do political stuff on YouTube or in their podcast. They don't want that stuff getting back to their jobs. Even if they don't do anything bad, like talking about the opposite political party or anything. But you never know. You might be a Republican and your boss might be a Democrat. Or you might be a staunch third-party supporter. And your boss might be like, why would you vote for them? Let's vote for the other person. And then you not get the same respect at work after that.
Right. Or they go, well, around here, we're this party. I don't want you to deviate from that, which I know most legitimate employers are not going to do that.
No.
However,
There are some.
you know, as a freelancer, as a contractor, we try to distance ourselves. We don't want to appear to have an ego. We don't want to appear to know everything. I myself had some issues with some of all that, but
Yeah.
I think I'm pretty good now. I got my head straight. But also, like one time, I told someone who I was voting for a couple elections ago, and he immediately talked to one of his other employees that have been around for a while. It's like, hey, he doesn't match up with our viewpoints here.
No.
You know. And they all went like, look, he's voting third party, which matches up with you here. Dude, he's fine. He probably knows more, you know, he's fine. Why even bring it up? Don't get rid of him because of that.
Oh, yeah.
You know. But
I know some people who didn't get some freelance job just because they had some video somewhere where they talked about some political candidate or something. So, yeah, so there's that risk.
okay, so good advice or bad advice? Should they talk about that stuff?
I can't say whether they should or not.
Because it's all individual.
Yeah.
It's so hard to give advice in general. Because it's all individual. Such as if you're trying to do news stuff or an editorial thing, or this is your vlog.
Yeah.
Be you. But if it gets you in trouble with your job, be aware.
Yeah, exactly.
Bad advice. Most commonly bad advice. What one person I talked to, my girlfriend actually asked her this question shortly ago, and she says people told her, she's an artist and she also traveled across the United States, and she actually traveled the world doing art stuff, and she said the worst advice she's got is don't do it.
Oh yeah, I get that every once in a while.
Prepare to be broke. Prepare not to have any money.
Yes. Yeah, I've had one of my former employers started turning down time off requests when they found out why I was turning in time off requests. Not my current one, but a previous one.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's like, really, so if I had a family function, it'd be no problem.
Yeah, they just said don't do it. There's no money in it. And I had similar because I originally wanted to be on the radio. It's like, you can't make a living doing that. They're not completely wrong.
No.
But there's some luck in there. You got to do what's right for you. And that's the beauty of today.
Yeah.
The beauty of today is if all you want to do is do it, you can do it.
Yes.
For fun. I know we've talked about this in the past. For fun, for the love of it, for whatever it is. To get that stress off you and to connect.
Yeah.
It's amazing. To tell someone you should just give up is really bad advice.
The best advice I've seen recently is Gary Vaynerchuk on Facebook. Mm-hmm. He said, if there's something you really, really want to do, but you have to make a living at a day job, then go hustle at your day job, go home, kiss the dog, and then get to work.
Yeah. All right, stop playing with your keys.
Yep.
Other things she told me that she got in bad advice on. You're being selfish for doing what you want to do. Really?
Really?
Really? You're being selfish for following something you want to do? I mean, I understand, a lot, people doing this, they have kids, they have family, they have this. But come on, there's a balance. And if you're single, and she's a single person.
You can do it, they can't. They don't want you to do it no more.
Right.
That's pretty much what I hear when somebody tells me that.
Yeah, she, when she did cross-country trips, they said, well, you're a woman and you're by yourself. You shouldn't do that. I understand where they're coming from, safety point of view, but if you want to do something, you're going to do it.
Yeah.
I think you should do everything you can do to be safe, but so many events, I know you're in the same boat. Yeah. We don't want to do by ourselves, but no one else is doing it with us.
Nope, so we'll go do it with us.
We'll make friends.
Yeah.
That's how we pretty much met.
Yep.
That's how we met Crazy Mark.
Oh, yeah.
That's how we met a lot of people. Dave Patterson that was on the show 2 weeks ago. That's how I met him. That's how I met his other friend, Dave Hernan from a newspaper. That's how we met quite a few people.
Oh, yeah. That's how I met Dave Hernan, too. Kept meeting him at events.
Mm-hmm. Other bad advice. We go to cons, and I hear bad advice being given all the time. If you don't know about something, just don't talk about it.
No, exactly. At Motor City Comic Con, me and a model got into a conversation with depth of field and cameras. Mm-hmm. And I had this one guy come in and go, no. You have a crop sensor. I have a micro four thirds sensor. Our depth of field calculations are vastly different. No, they're exactly the same. Mind you, me and this model were holding college level discussion on depth of field. We were talking about the math involved. And in case you don't know, there's a big thing going around YouTube right now, and a couple of the photographer blogs and stuff, that your aperture changes if you're on a crop sensor or a micro four thirds sensor. And they'll usually prove it by taking a picture with a full frame camera and then taking a picture with a crop sensor. The picture is exactly the same. It shows the same crop on the face and everything. The problem is one of the factors for depth of field is distance from the sensor.
Right.
So if you're on a crop sensor, and to get the exact same frame, you have to back up, which actually increases your depth of field. You just have to take that into account. But they'll tell you you have to apply your crop factor. For a Nikon, this gets a little harder because depends on what camera brand you have, depends on your crop factor. But a Nikon is 1.5, which means they're trying to tell me that my aperture goes up a full stop. And it doesn't. It actually, if you want to do equivalence, goes up a half a stop.
And if you ever want to, experiment, just experiment with it. If you really want to know what the capabilities of your camera is, don't take someone else's word for it. I mean, I understand if it's someone that really knows that camera well and you trust them. I'm all about research. And see what other people say and think. But if you already have that camera in your hands, do your own test.
Yes. I have a Tamron lens that everybody says that they hate. It actually takes some of the best pictures that I take. I don't use it
because they're using it wrong.
Well, yeah,
their camera wrong.
But a lot of people don't take into consideration that it's a long zoom lens with no image stabilization built in. So you need a tripod with that thing.
Right.
There's no getting around it. And most of the people that tested it were hand-holding it. I don't take it to cons because I can't hand-hold this lens at all. It is the Tamron 70 to 300 millimeter lens. I forget the exact dimension. It's a $130 lens. It's cheap.
Right.
So, you're going to get a lot of downsides with it.
You got a cheap lens, but you learn how to use it right.
Exactly.
And you will get that. You'll people say don't use cheap equipment, and other people say use cheap equipment.
Yes.
It all burns down to how you use it.
Exactly.
And sometimes cheap equipment is just that cheap.
Yeah.
You have to understand that. Back to cameras.
This is a cheap lens that shoots like a professional lens. It just doesn't have image stabilization at all in it.
Okay.
So you can't handhold it.
No. Speaking of cameras, I brought a couple cell phones out here, and my first YouTube camera, which is nothing. I mean, the big piece of advice you get when they say, "Hey, what piece of equipment should I get?" Well, what do you have? What do you have exposed? Just start. Start. Just do it.
Exactly.
That's the first part of advice that that's good. If you want to do something, you have to be able to just do it. We talked even just last week. You have to give yourself permission to just do it.
Yep.
The bad piece of advice I hear a lot of people give, and you've heard me go on this rant before, is at panels, you always have someone that asks that question. Yep. Doesn't matter what the panel is about. If it's remotely related to video or photography or audio, anything tech-wise, people will always ask, what equipment should I buy? And
yes.
I hate being on that panel where you have 2 or 3 people yelling out, get a Nikon, anything Canon, model, yada, 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 yada. I use this. It's fantastic. No.
That one panel.
No.
That one panel that I was on, you heard my answer to that one girl, what should I buy? I was like, I shoot a lot of vlogs with my cell phone.
Right. Just no. Do never answer that question with, if that's their question, what equipment should I buy? I don't know what you're shooting.
No.
First off, I don't know what you're shooting.
Nope.
I don't know what your budget is. I don't know what you want to do with it. There's way too much I don't know. I don't know what your skill level is. Not saying that should mean a whole lot, but it does mean something. I don't No is the answer. But, if you're looking to buy something new, do your research. Something in your budget, and and leave space. I mean, cell phones. I'm getting ready to just use my cell phone as a vlogging camera. However, audio is very important to me, and I will have a microphone that either records on its own or records to my cell phone somehow. I'm working on that. There are microphones out there that will record right to your phone. And there's also plenty of recording equipment like you have.
Oh, yeah, I got the Zoom H6. Mm-hmm. But my lapel mic that I used to have, it had all the equipment to hook it straight up to your cell phone.
Right.
Yeah. My lapel mic, I miss that thing.
Technology's changing all the time. You should not be able to do that.
No.
The way things are now is you could take your GoPro, your audio recorder, just connect the microphone to that, and then you have an amazing camera. But now technology's changing again, so...
Yep. Yeah, Photokina just happened, so there's probably a bunch of good new stuff out.
I mean, there's great cell phone video, so... There's so many different things you can do. It's almost a tragedy to tell someone you can't do something. You got to get out there. You got to try to do it. I totally recommend still ask that question if they know, if they know stuff. Like you give them your information, everything like that.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm doing vlogs. What do you recommend? Hey, I want to do a movie. It's going to be really fast paced. What should I look for? That's a better question. Not what should I buy? What should I look for?
Yes. And then she was very surprised when I told her I edit mostly in 720, even though I have a bunch of 1080 cameras that could do it really good. I should do more 1080s now that I got a computer and I can actually edit 1080 videos.
So I'm thinking about the worst advice I either gotten or I've seen.
Yeah.
And one of that is I was at a con, and this guy, which I've known from other cons and stuff like that, he's running around wearing a sports jacket in Orlando, by the way. Pretty hot. Yeah. He's running around in a sports jacket, huge smile on his face, trying to be the very best businessman he can be.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. Good on him, although it doesn't quite fit in with what... This is what I wear to those cons because I'm just another person.
Yep, this is what I wear too.
He's trying to impress people, which is fine. And then he's talking to a girl in high school with her mom. And like, well, where should we go to college at? I don't want to say the name of the college that he said, but... He started throwing names. Oh, I know, plain people go here. And I'm hearing names of schools that are non-credited. And he even said, you could go here, and if you change your mind, you could just transfer credits. Not every university you can do that with. I used to teach at a university. Some schools and even some universities... credits don't transfer depending on what it is, and especially into other things. That's something you have to look into. So if you go to a community college and you know what university you want to go to, you're going to transfer to the other university. Look into what transfers and what doesn't.
Yeah,
and exactly. This guy, I've also heard someone say the same thing about tech schools. And tech schools are not treated the same way. Some are. The tech school I went to did have credits that transferred to the university I went to. However, the one I went to transferred quite a few credits. Other university, nothing would have transferred. It'd been like 3 or 4 credits would have transferred. It's really, you got to do that independent research.
Definitely.
You can't just throw out big generalized terms. That's why people ask me questions. I almost feel like a hack when I answer them.
Exactly, because they want a concrete answer.
Right. It just can't do that. I have a whole video about buying equipment and ways to do your research. So I don't want to spend too much time in that.
No.
What are some of the other things that you've gotten or you've heard that are just horrible bits of advice?
You don't need Like, if you're doing a photo shoot, you don't need to have your model or the photographer sign a contract, a release. I'm like, that's mostly covering your butt there.
Heard that too. You don't need any sort of waivers. Now I've gotten to a point where I don't really use waivers that much. However,
I don't use them
at events, not so much, but I always ask. A lot of times I'll ask on camera. But if I'm shooting a movie, yes,
exactly,
absolutely. If it's something I know I'm going to be making money on, if I'm shooting for somebody else. Always. If I'm shooting for somebody else, if I'm under contract, I'm bringing waivers and stuff with me.
Exactly.
If I'm agreeing to something, yes, I'm bringing waivers and stuff with me.
Anything for me that lasts more than an hour or two, waivers and contracts.
A lot of news folk will not bring waivers and contracts with them, but that's also because of a big thing called something privacy. What is it?
The reasonable expectation of privacy.
Yes. So if you walk in front of a big camera, you don't have any reasonable expectations of privacy. That's why I don't normally bring waivers with me at events.
Yeah.
But if the event is asking you to ask people, make sure you ask them. I always ask anyway.
Yes, I do too. I do get once or twice. I get at least one person to say no every 2 cons for a photo, if I could take a photo of them. So.
Another piece of bad advice is not asking somebody to get them on tape, record. No one uses tape anymore.
Yeah.
To record someone. But don't ask permission to use property. Oh, we'll just guerrilla style it. I understand why sometimes people would do that. I do understand. However, I'm watching my butt.
Yeah, you don't want to get sued.
That's again personal thing, but I know Mark. We talked about that last week, so I'm going to leave that one go. But. It really depends on what you're doing, where you are. I've seen some venues, yes, you're on public property on the sidewalk, but some venues just don't want you filming in front of their spot, and they will actually grab megaphones and chase you around with the megaphone saying, don't film here, just to ruin your audio.
Yeah, I've seen stuff.
However,
like that
my
too.
buddies that filmed that, all they needed was the video anyway, so joke was on them.
Yeah.
And I actually used that video of him chasing them in their short film. That won a competition, by the way.
Wow.
It's when you're doing a 48-hour contest, you come up with things.
You do. You come up with some interesting things.
Another one of the things that my girlfriend said was people told her she can't be traveling cross country because she's a woman. Like, she can't make it because she's a woman, maybe not just for, maybe it's safety, maybe it's other things. All these things, you can't do this, you're not going to get paid. A lot of these things, to me, it's because people are jealous because they're not doing it.
Exactly.
That's what it is. It's resentment.
Yeah.
It goes right back to, I don't think you should do this because I don't believe in that. Don't let people tell you that. You have your own set of beliefs. And so do I. So if you don't always agree with me, that's fine. I got people that sit at this table that don't always agree with me.
Exactly. You heard that last week with Mark.
And that's fine. That's why I like having other people with me. I think it would be a horrible world if we only got friends and we only spoke to people that saw our viewpoint. What was the worst piece of advice you gotten? I know there's plenty more out there, so please let us know. You could hit us on Twitter, Facebook, individually. William, allaboutwilliam.com.
Hello.
Toaden, otherwise known as Scott, Toaden.com. You could comment on YouTube, youtube.com/ToadenK. On MediaAlertSandwich.com. We do have the comment section up, right?
Yeah.
So, you could comment there. You could comment on any of the websites. You can even comment at Pod Bros. A big, huge thank you always to Pod Bros. Even Podbean you could comment on. So please, comment, rate, subscribe, follow us, hit the little bells to get notifications, because I know there's always issues about people. I didn't know it came out. I know I was subscribed. Get the notifications. Even if it's from one of our Twitters, we'll always tweet and Facebook our stuff out. So thank you for watching, listening, and I hope you enjoyed our discussion.